Okay, so have you ever, like, totally misjudged someone?
Hmm.
Like, you just get the completely wrong first impression.
Oh, yeah, all the time.
Well, this deep dive is about a story that takes that feeling to a whole new level.
Oh, this should be good.
We're going to hear about Rachel.
Okay.
She's working the front desk at the Sterling Heights Hotel in Santa Monica. Oh, yeah. Super fancy place. Picture a bustling Friday night. Travelers are checking in,
Hmm.
bellhops, juggling luggage,
Hmm.
the whole scene.
Yeah, I can picture it.
So into this scene walks a man who doesn't exactly fit the luxury hotel guest mold.
Okay.
No luggage, faded
Oh,
jeans,
interesting.
a well-worn hoodie.
Huh.
You get the picture.
I do, yeah.
But there's this calm confidence about him that throws Rachel off.
Oh, okay.
He simply asks for a room,
Hmm.
even though the hotel is totally booked.
Oh, so right away there's that tension.
Exactly. And this is where we see those initial judgments forming, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Rachel's been working a long shift. She probably just wants to get through the night and go home.
Right.
She immediately assumes this guy doesn't belong there.
Yeah, I can see that.
And his persistence asking about cancellations and even room availability for the next night just adds to her frustration.
Oh, so he's not giving up easily.
No, he's not.
That could definitely be annoying in that situation.
Totally. She even suggests a nearby motel,
Uh-huh.
like practically shooing him away.
Wow.
But he doesn't take the hint.
He's really persistent.
Yeah, he stays calm,
Mm-hmm.
even starts observing everything happening in the lobby,
Like what?
staff interactions,
Interesting.
how they handle guest complaints,
Okay.
even little details like the cleaning procedures.
Mm.
Nothing escapes his notice.
Wow, so he's really taking it all in.
It's almost like he's conducting his own silent evaluation of the hotel.
That's kind of creepy, right?
What's he up to?
And the sense of being watched adds this layer of mystery to the whole encounter.
Definitely.
And then there's this unexpected moment.
Okay, what happens?
He helps a bellhop struggling with a luggage cart.
Showing this completely different side to him.
That is interesting. It's like he's trying to blend in.
Do you think that genuine act of helpfulness made Rachel question her initial judgment of him at all?
It's hard to say for sure, but it definitely highlights the complexity of human behavior.
Right.
People aren't always what they seem, are they?
No, they're not.
And our initial impressions, especially those formed under stress, can be so unreliable.
It makes me think about the concept of in-group bias,
Oh, yeah.
where we tend to favor people who we perceive as being similar to ourselves.
Right, like our own little tribe.
Exactly. Maybe Rachel subconsciously categorized this man as like out-group based on his appearance, and as a result, treated him differently.
Yeah, I can see how that could happen. It's
Yeah.
like our brains are wired to make those snap judgments.
So this man, the mystery guest, he hangs out in the lobby all night, just observing.
Still creepy.
Rachel can't shake this feeling of being watched, judged even.
Yeah, wouldn't like that either.
But she pushes those thoughts aside, focused on getting through her shift.
Understandable.
Little does she know, the real shocker is waiting for her the next morning.
Okay. I can't wait to hear what happens.
At the staff meeting, the general manager introduces their special guest, the new owner of the Sterling Heights Hotel,
Oh, wow.
Elon Musk.
No way.
And guess who's standing right next to him?
It's got to be the guy from the lobby.
Our unassuming mystery guest from the night before.
Ah, that's crazy.
The room falls silent.
Eh.
I can only imagine Rachel's shock and embarrassment.
Mortified.
Talk about an aha moment.
A huge aha moment.
What do you think was going through her mind at that point?
Oh, gosh. Probably a mix of disbelief, mortification.
Yeah.
Maybe a touch of fear.
Definitely. After all, she had basically told the new owner of the hotel, one of the most influential people in the world, to go stay at a motel.
Ouch. I would be so embarrassed.
But what makes this story so compelling is what Elon does next.
What does he do?
Instead of making a scene or humiliating Rachel, he uses this situation as a teaching moment for the entire staff.
Oh, that's interesting.
He delivers this powerful message about the importance of treating everyone with respect and kindness,
Good for him.
regardless of their appearance.
That's a really important message.
He emphasizes how small gestures can make a huge difference, especially in the hospitality industry.
Yeah, those little things really do matter.
And he specifically mentions observing the staff the previous night,
Oh, so he was watching them.
seeing both the good and the bad.
Wow.
It's like he orchestrated this whole thing as a real-life social experiment, don't you think?
It kind of seems that way. It's definitely an unconventional approach, but it's certainly got everyone's attention.
So instead of resorting to reprimands or disciplinary action, Elon turned a potentially negative situation into a valuable lesson in leadership and empathy.
That's a really great example of how leaders can use their influence to create positive change.
And it highlights the power of observation, too. By experiencing the hotel from the perspective of an ordinary guest, Elon gained valuable insights that he wouldn't have gotten otherwise.
Yeah, that's a good point.
No.
Sometimes you got to get down in the trenches to really understand what's going on.
But he doesn't let Rachel completely off the hook.
Oh, now does he call her out?
He does. He addresses her directly, reminding her that every interaction matters.
Oh, boy.
And people notice how they're treated.
Yeah.
But he does it with this quiet authority.
Oh, okay.
Not in a way that's meant to shame or belittle her.
So more like a gentle reminder.
More like a gentle nudge in the right direction.
You bet she was still mortified, though.
What do you think was going through Rachel's mind during that exchange?
Oh, gosh. Probably a wave of emotions.
Like what?
Embarrassment, regret, but also a sense of relief that Elon chose to handle the situation with grace and understanding.
It's a powerful reminder that even the most influential people are still human, capable of empathy and forgiveness.
That's a good point. It's easy to forget that sometimes.
And it underscores the importance of leading by example.
Right.
Elon's actions spoke louder than any lecture on customer service could ever have.
Absolutely. He walked the walk.
So this encounter becomes a turning point for Rachel, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. It's a moment of personal transformation for her. She makes a conscious decision to embody the values that Elon emphasized.
Like what?
Kindness, respect, and a genuine commitment to treating every guest with dignity.
And this shift in her mindset starts to impact not just her work, but also her relationships with her colleagues.
That's great.
It's like that one encounter with Elon created a ripple effect, inspiring positive change throughout the entire hotel.
It's a beautiful example of how a single interaction can have a lasting impact.
Both on an individual level
Right.
and on a larger scale.
Now let's pause here for a moment.
Okay.
Dive a little deeper into the theme of leadership. We've seen how Elon used his position of authority to teach a valuable lesson.
Yeah.
But what other leadership qualities are evident in his approach? Well, his willingness to put himself in the shoes of a regular guest, it's a testament to his humility.
Yeah.
I mean, many leaders in his position,
Yeah.
they might never even consider doing something like that.
It's a powerful reminder that effective leadership often involves taking a step back
Yeah,
and seeing things from a different perspective.
absolutely. And the fact that he chose to focus on growth and development rather than punishment speaks volumes about his leadership style.
Yeah, for sure.
He could have easily, reprimanded Rachel publicly or even fired her.
Oh, totally.
But instead, he used the situation as an opportunity for learning and improvement.
It makes me curious.
Yeah.
Have you ever had an experience where you misjudged someone based on their appearance?
Oh, yeah.
To then later were proven wrong?
Totally. I once worked with this colleague
Okay.
who dressed super casually, almost sloppily, and I initially just assumed he wasn't very serious about his work.
Yeah.
But I was so wrong.
Really?
He turned out to be one of the most brilliant and dedicated people I've ever met.
Wow.
He just didn't care much for appearances.
It's a good reminder that we should never judge a book by its cover.
Absolutely. And I think this whole story also highlights the importance of second chances.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like Elon gave Rachel and the rest of the staff a chance to redeem themselves, to learn from their mistakes and do better next time.
Instead of dwelling on the negative, he chose to focus on the positive potential for growth and change.
Yeah, that's a really powerful message.
Absolutely. Now let's shift gears for a moment and talk about the ripple effect of Elon's actions.
Okay.
So it's clear that his encounter with Rachel and the staff had a profound impact on the Sterling Heights Hotel.
For sure.
But how might this story inspire positive change in other organizations,
Yeah.
even in society as a whole?
Well, for one thing, it demonstrates the incredible power of leadership by example. Actions often speak louder than words.
Yeah.
And when those in positions of authority prioritize values like kindness, respect, empathy,
Right.
it sets a tone that can cascade throughout an entire organization.
So it's not just about talking the talk.
Right.
It's about walking the walk.
Exactly. And I think this story also has implications for how we approach customer service in general.
How so?
It reminds us that every interaction, no matter how seemingly insignificant, has the potential to leave a lasting impression.
That's a good point.
It's about recognizing that we're all interconnected and that even small acts of kindness can create a ripple effect of positivity.
I like that.
No.
Now, I want to circle back to something you mentioned earlier,
Okay.
the concept of unconscious bias.
Right.
We talked about how Rachel's initial judgment of the mystery guest might have been influenced by her own biases.
Mm-hmm.
How can we become more aware of our own biases and prevent them from impacting our interactions with others?
That's a really important question. The first step is acknowledging that we all have biases.
Okay.
It's part of being human.
Right.
But we can't let those biases control our behavior.
So what can we do?
We need to be aware of them and actively challenge them.
So it's about being mindful of our thoughts and actions.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And recognizing when those thoughts and actions might be influenced by preconceived notions or stereotypes.
Okay.
And it's also about seeking out diverse perspectives and experiences.
Yeah.
The more we expose ourselves to people who are different from us,
Right.
the more we can challenge our own biases and expand our understanding of the world.
And that ties back to the idea of empathy, right?
Absolutely.
Putting ourselves in someone else's shoes.
Yeah.
And trying to see the world from their perspective.
Empathy is essential for overcoming biases and building meaningful connections with others.
Now, let's shift gears again
Okay.
and talk about the theme of second chances.
Right.
We've seen how both Rachel and the staff of the Sterling Heights were given a second chance to prove themselves.
Mm-hmm.
What are some practical steps we can take to create a culture of second chances in our own lives and workplaces?
Well, for starters, we need to be willing to forgive ourselves and others for making mistakes.
Right.
Everyone makes mistakes. It's part of being human.
Right.
Instead of dwelling on past errors, we need to focus on learning from those experiences and moving forward.
That's so important. Holding on to anger and resentment only hurts us in the long run.
Exactly. And it's crucial to create a safe space for people to admit their mistakes without fear of judgment or punishment.
Okay.
When people feel safe to own up to their shortcomings,
Mm-hmm.
they're more likely to learn from them and grow.
So it's about creating an environment of trust and open communication.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's about setting clear expectations and providing support to help people succeed.
Okay.
No one should feel like they have to hide their mistakes or pretend to be perfect.
That's a great point. And it ties back to the idea of leadership. Effective leaders create a culture where it's okay to fail,
Right.
as long as we learn from those failures
Yeah.
and use them as opportunities for growth.
Exactly. And those leaders also recognize that everyone has different strengths and weaknesses.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of trying to fit everyone into the same mold,
Yeah.
they embrace diversity and allow individuals to shine in their own unique ways.
Now I want to connect this back to the story of Rachel and Elon Musk.
Okay.
One of the things that struck me about this story is the power of humility.
Mm-hmm.
Here we have one of the richest and most powerful people in the world choosing to experience his own hotel from the perspective of an ordinary guest.
All right.
What do you think we can learn from that example?
I think it's a powerful reminder that true leadership isn't about ego or status.
Okay.
It's about service.
Mm-hmm.
It's about putting the needs of others before our own
Yeah.
and being willing to step outside our comfort zones to gain a better understanding of the world around us.
It's about recognizing that we always have more to learn, no matter how successful or accomplished we may be.
Exactly. And it's about approaching every interaction with a sense of humility and a willingness to listen and learn.
Now, as we wrap up this part of our deep dive,
Okay.
I want to leave our listeners with a question to ponder.
Right.
What would happen if we all made a conscious effort to incorporate these principles?
Mm-hmm.
Kindness, empathy, humility, second chances into our daily lives.
It's a challenging but inspiring question. Imagine the positive ripple effects that would create not just in our own lives, but in the world around us.
Mm-hmm.
It starts with each of us making a conscious choice to be better, to do better.
Welcome back to our deep dive into this whole Elon Musk thing at the Sterling Heights.
Yeah, it's a wild story.
So we've talked a lot about Rachel's experience
Mm-hmm.
and how this encounter transformed her approach to her work and her interactions with everyone.
Right.
But what about the other staff members?
Oh, yeah.
How do you think they were impacted by Elon's message in this whole crazy visit?
I think it probably had a pretty big impact on the whole culture of the hotel.
In what way?
Well, just knowing that the owner himself was willing to go undercover to see how they worked
Right.
probably instilled a sense of accountability
Okay.
and a desire to excel.
Yeah, I bet.
Like, suddenly everyone was on their A game,
Uh-huh.
not because they were afraid of getting punished,
Right.
but because they wanted to impress the boss,
Mm.
who they knew valued kindness and respect just as much as efficiency and productivity.
So it's like he shifted the whole focus of the work environment.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And it probably created a more positive and supportive environment, too.
How so?
Well, when people feel appreciated and respected,
Yeah.
They're more likely to go above and beyond for both their colleagues and the guests.
It's amazing to think how one person,
Mm-hmm.
through their actions and their words,
Right.
can have such a ripple effect.
It really is. This whole story reminds me of a quote by the Dalai Lama.
Oh, yeah.
Be kind whenever possible.
Oh,
It is always possible.
I like that. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what are some key takeaways our listeners can apply to their own lives?
Okay.
Whether it's in their relationships, their work, their interactions with the world.
I think one of the biggest takeaways is the importance of challenging our own assumptions. We all have biases, whether we realize it or not.
Right.
And those biases can lead us to make some really unfair judgments about people.
Yeah, like based on their appearance, their background, all sorts of superficial stuff.
Exactly.
So before we jump to conclusions about someone,
Yeah.
it's important to pause,
Right.
check our assumptions, and try to see the situation from their perspective.
Exactly. And it's also important to remember that everyone is carrying their own story, their own burdens, their own unique set of experiences.
Yeah.
So a little bit of kindness and understanding can go a long way.
This story has really given me a lot to think about.
Me too.
And I hope it's done the same for you, our listener. Before we sign off, is there anything else you want to add?
Nothing.
Any final thoughts or insights you want to leave our listeners with?
Just this. Never underestimate the power of small actions.
Okay.
A smile, a kind word, a gesture of support. These seemingly insignificant acts can have a ripple effect,
I agree.
creating positive change that extends far beyond ourselves.
So let's all challenge ourselves to be a little kinder, a little more understanding, a little more open-minded in our interactions with the world.
Yeah.
Who knows? We might just inspire a transformation in someone else's life, just like Elon Musk did for Rachel and the staff at the Sterling Heights Hotel.
That's a great point.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We'll catch you next time.